on this Sunday night, evacuating the hantavirus-hit cruise ship. Passengers disembark, including 4 Canadians, now back on home soil.
Our primary concern is the health and well-being of these 4 Canadians.
The plan from health officials here and around the world to contain the spread. Breaking news on the war in Iran. President Trump condemns Tehran's response to the latest U.S. peace proposal, leaving the ceasefire in limbo. Celebrating Mother's Day events held across Canada, including for those struggling with loss.
I still wanted to continue to commemorate my mom.
Plus, peculiar crash. How this motorcycle in BC got stuck in a stoplight.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. 4 Canadians stranded on that hantavirus-hit cruise ship are finally back on home soil tonight. They touched down on a repatriation flight in Bagotville, Quebec this afternoon, and they will now fly to an undisclosed location in British Columbia, where they will self-isolate for at least 21 days. Health officials say they are not showing any symptoms. BC's top doctor, Bonnie Henry, would not say where they live or where they'll be isolating, only that all 4 have connections to the province.
We have safe lodgings that have been secured. They will be monitored daily by our local public health teams to ensure that they remain well and that they're safely isolating. In the unlikely event, but it is possible, that any of these individuals develop symptoms, we have, again, very detailed plans in place.
The ship, the MV Hondius, arrived in Spain's Canary Islands early this morning. This video shows the Canadian passengers in protective gear being ferried off the ship before being assessed and taken to the airport on sealed buses, along with around 140 other passengers and crew from more than 24 countries who'd been stuck on the virus-stricken ship for weeks. At least 3 people have died from the outbreak. In total, at least 10 Canadians have been potentially exposed to the ship's hantavirus outbreak, including some who disembarked early. All have been ordered to isolate, and none are showing symptoms. Health officials continue to stress that the risk of human-to-human transmission remains low. Our Candice Cole has our top story tonight.
This is not another COVID, and the risk to the public is low.
Passengers and crew aboard the MV Hondius began disembarking Sunday in Tenerife after an outbreak of the deadly hantavirus took the lives of 3 people and infected several others. In a carefully coordinated effort by government and health officials, passengers are being evacuated from the ship in groups according to their home country.
So the boat is off the coast of the Canary Islands in Tenerife, and there are smaller medical assessments are taking place. And there are small boats that are taking passengers to shore and directly into the repatriation flights.
Members of the Spanish military have been escorting passengers by bus directly to their designated flights on the tarmac. According to the World Health Organization, 30 crew members will remain on board, and a Dutch nurse will join them as the ship completes its route to the Netherlands, which is expected to take a few days.
So our recommendations for the passengers and the crew who are on board is that they have active monitoring and follow-up, which means daily health checks, either at home or in a specialized facility.
So far, Canada, the U.S., the U.K., and several European countries have organized chartered flights to return their citizens home for quarantine and further medical evaluation. Initially, health officials reported that all remaining passengers were asymptomatic. However, that changed after French Prime Minister Sebastien Lecornu said 1 of 5 French passengers became symptomatic during their repatriation flight. Hantavirus is typically spread by rodents, but this strain is the only one transmissible by humans. Although there is no known cure for the virus, health officials say the risk to the general public is low.
So I will say that we are nearing the end of the transmission window for the people who are being repatriated here in the U.S. So I think we're about 2 weeks away from knowing whether or not there'll be additional cases that come from that initial outbreak on the cruise ship.
The World Health Organization says it's leaving it up to countries to develop their own policies for mitigating the spread, but urged taking a cautionary approach. Evacuations from the cruise ship are expected to last until Monday. Candice Cole, Global News, Washington.
A new confirmed case of the hantavirus prompted this extraordinary intervention from British paratroopers. They airdropped onto Britain's most remote overseas territory today, which is normally only accessible by boat, after a suspected case of hantavirus was just confirmed there. The 6 soldiers and 2 military medics were armed with oxygen supplies and other medical equipment. The case is a British national who disembarked the cruise ship earlier onto the South Atlantic island of Tristan da Cunha, where they live. And turning to breaking news from Washington now, where the U.S. president has just condemned Iran's response to the latest U.S. peace proposal. The White House had presented a 14-point plan that required Iran to halt its nuclear program. After days of delays, Tehran finally delivered its response. Now, it's not clear what they said, but President Trump just posted on social media calling the response totally unacceptable. As Vincent McAviney reports, it's unclear what this means for the fragile ceasefire or the blockades in the Strait of Hormuz.
After another week of uncertainty, Iran says it has sent its response to the latest American proposals for ending the war to Pakistani mediators. The US had demanded, among other things, the complete reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and an end to Iran's nuclear program. It's unclear yet which of the plan's 14 points they've accepted and what else they're demanding. Across the Middle East, economic chaos continues to build. Iran has reiterated its threats to global shipping after confirmation that a South Korean vessel in the Strait of Hormuz was attacked by an unidentified object earlier in the week. Iran has denied responsibility. The first Qatari vessel carrying liquefied natural gas has, though, managed to safely cross the strait since the outbreak of the war. The US says time is running out for a deal.
If it's clear in the next few days that there's not a good path to a negotiated settlement, we'll go back to the military method to open the strait.
The Iranian military claims it would be using surprising new weapons, methods and arenas of warfare in response. Meanwhile, the Israeli military continued strikes across southern Lebanon on Saturday morning, despite the ceasefire between the two nations. Israel says it targets only infrastructure and people linked to Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed militia and political party. Locals say civilians are being killed. The targeting was against children and civilians. They all ran away from under the strikes and they targeted them here. Here, there were all women and children. On Sunday, the funerals began, including for a child. Almost 2,800 people have been killed in Lebanon since Hezbollah first attacked Israel in March in response to its war on Iran. US President Donald Trump will travel to China this week for talks with President Xi Jinping. Relations between the two leaders were already strained, and with China the largest buyer of Iranian oil, pressure is mounting on both sides to do everything possible to secure a swift path to peace. Vincent McAviney, Global News, London.
With the FIFA World Cup just weeks away, Iran's football federation says its soccer team still plans to participate, but it's issued a series of conditions to host countries. Those include guarantees that the team's visas will be granted, as well as high security at hotels, airports, and venues, and respect for Iran's flag and national anthem. Those demands come after Canada denied entry to Iran's Soccer Federation president, who tried to attend last month's FIFA Congress in Vancouver. Canadian officials cited his links to Iran's notorious Revolutionary Guard, which Canada and the U.S. consider to be a terrorist organization. Russia and Ukraine are blaming each other for breaking a U.S.-brokered ceasefire. Both sides say they've suffered casualties in drones and artillery strikes. Parts of this Ukrainian border town in the Kharkiv region was reduced to ash. Russia's defense ministry says that Ukraine's army has committed more than 1,000 ceasefire violations. The 3-day truce announced last week by President Trump just took effect yesterday to coincide with annual Victory Day events commemorating the Soviet victory over the Nazis in the Second World War. Well, turning to news here at home now, and a tragic scene in Toronto where a toddler has died after falling from the window of a high-rise apartment building. Emergency crews were called to the city's North York neighborhood at around 12:30 this afternoon. Police say the toddler fell from an apartment and was pronounced dead. The circumstances surrounding the death are now under investigation. There was a bizarre motor vehicle crash in BC's Lower Mainland this weekend. Take a look at this, a motorcycle hanging from a traffic light. Police in Delta say the motorbike collided with a car, which somehow caused the bike to go airborne and become lodged in the traffic light's crossarm. The motorcyclist suffered serious but not life-threatening injuries. The driver of the vehicle wasn't hurt. Well, Montreal is playing host to Game 3 of their second-round playoff series against the Buffalo Sabres tonight. The Canadiens are Canada's last hope for a cup this year. The series is tied 1 game apiece after the Habs responded with a big win in Buffalo on Friday. And Montreal's hockey-crazed fans are living up to their reputation. Our Elizabeth Zogalis is outside a noisy Bell Center for us. Elizabeth.
Jeff, it's been said many times over decades that there are no fans like Montreal Canadiens fans, and the fans outside the Bell Center right now are absolutely proving that point.
Go, Habs, go! Go, Habs, go!
The Habs fans are back at home after tying the series in Game 2 in Buffalo, and the momentum is all theirs, it seems. The fans here are excited, nervous, and anxious, but they're definitely feeling optimistic.
I think they're going to win tonight. Yes, I'm positive, yes.
Can I get a go, Habs, go?
Go, Habs, go!
4-2. I think it's going to be an easy game. You know, there's going to be ups and downs, but in the third, we're going to win it, 4-2.
Now, the fan jam outside the Bell Center is relatively new for Habs fans, and everything so far has been pretty good. Habs fans have been on their best behavior. Everything is in good fun, but the police are here, and there's lots of security. But so far, there haven't been any incidents reported. So, go Habs, go. Jeff.
Elizabeth Zogalis in Montreal. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Bonjour, comment ça va?
And that is former Montreal Canadiens player PK Subban more than a decade ago when he pledged to donate $10 million to the Montreal Children's Hospital. After years of fundraising, the hospital has announced that he's finally made good on that promise, calling it the largest philanthropic commitment by any athlete in Canada. Subban was traded to Nashville 1 year after making that pledge and initially faced some skepticism for overpromising. He says he hopes this provides a lesson to never doubt others and find the courage to believe the impossible is possible. Beating the odds, coming up. The new medical procedure that helped this cancer patient become a mom. Plus, Tiny Dancer hits Toronto, a special tribute from Elton John. On this Mother's Day, doctors at a Toronto hospital are heralding a new procedure that could help pregnant women manage a fibroid. About 70% of women develop fibroids before the age of 50. They're a common but potentially dangerous growth found in or on a woman's uterus and can cause complications during pregnancy. Our Catherine Ward reports on the procedure's potential to help future pregnancies.
Where's Mama? A solo parent by choice, the road to motherhood has not been easy for Alona Doherty. IVF, a failed transfer, followed by the blow of a uterine cancer diagnosis.
They had removed a couple of polyps. There was a 1% chance that those were cancerous. I was that 1%. And so that started a whole other journey in fertility preservation to make sure that I would have a uterus to carry a child.
Through perseverance, Alona's lifelong dream became a reality when Bense was conceived. But a growth was detected, which ended up being a fibroid 13 centimeters in diameter.
It was really big and it was within the muscle. So it wasn't a clear removal.
The imaging we saw ahead of time showed that the fibroid was, one, quite large, and two, it was very close to the blood supply to the uterus. So if we removed it, then she was at an increased risk of bleeding that could put her at risk for transfusion, even losing the uterus, a hysterectomy.
The team chose to adapt a procedure where instead of surgically removing the fibroid, a probe would be used to burn the growth during Alona's scheduled C-section.
The probe and the ultrasound are used together. From a fibroid that was about 13 centimeters diameter, it shrunk down to the largest diameter being just over 6 centimeters.
Doctors say this procedure helps give patients more options and hope.
And this is sort of new practice because we used to shy away from managing them, but we've started to feel more comfortable either removing them or managing them the way we did for Ilona. And that saves the person an extra surgery.
So it's been an incredible success. And my plan is to try to have a second child, fingers crossed. And so this will just mean that I have a much higher likelihood that that will be possible. Yeah, we're a pretty good team. Yeah.
Catherine Ward, Global News, Toronto.
Paying tribute to Punch, still ahead, remembering a BC hockey legend. Well, in this hockey-crazed country, even junior hockey coaches can claim legendary status, and Ernie Punch McLean was among them. Known for his hard-nosed, old-school style, he led multiple teams to championships. Punch McLean died in a car crash in northern BC on Friday at the age of 93. Squire Barnes has more on his remarkable life.
If you measured wealth only by the amount of friends and respect one has, then Punch McLean would have been one of the richest men in BC. A mere 2 days after finding out a foundation had been set up to raise awareness to build a statue of Punch in front of Queen's Park Arena, he died in a car crash at the age of 93.
It's been rough on all of us, especially the foundation, the volunteers, the people that put in the hard work. It's been rough on all of us. There's not too many people like that that's so genuine and has time for community regardless of his fame or notoriety.
Punch McLean was a better character than any writer could have come up with. He was also one of the most successful junior hockey coaches ever, winning 4 straight WHL titles and 2 straight Memorial Cup championships in 1977 and 78. And he did it with a team that epitomized the gloves-off, in-your-face style of 70s hockey.
It was that era that everybody wanted big, tough hockey players. So I wanted the guys to be ready for that type of play.
It meant playing the New Westminster Bruins inside of Queen's Park Arena, every other team's nightmare.
I don't know if we had a specific name for it, but it was like the Roman Coliseum for sure.
But it was also Punch's way of making sure there was no such thing as a dull Bruins game.
It was more like a showmanship. Put a show on at the same time. If the game is going dull, do something.
One of the most infamous show business moments from Punch was when he threw a garbage can on the ice to protest the reffing of the game.
And I talked to people, I said, well, how many championships? Well, I don't really know, but I know you threw a garbage can.
Nothing in Punch's life, either on or off the ice, was ever mundane. At the age of 77, he survived in the woods of northern BC for 5 days after he got lost prospecting for gold. He also walked out of a plane crash in 1972 despite severe injuries, including the loss of one of his eyes.
50 pieces of wood inside of my face. Yeah.
You were an incredibly tough man, you know.
And that's why it's so hard to believe that Punch McLean is gone. But the memories and the stories of his exploits, they'll go on forever.
Motherless Day. Up next, a new and growing movement to support those struggling with loss. That is the Rocket Man, British music legend Elton John, performing in Toronto last night, where he accepted Canada's prestigious Glenn Gould Prize, named after the renowned Canadian pianist. The award honors those who've made extraordinary contributions through arts, culture, and humanitarian work. In his speech, the 79-year-old paid tribute to Canada. He performed alongside Canadian artists whom he'd selected himself, and he also made reference to U.S. President Trump's previous taunts. Elton John saying Canada will never be the 51st state. Well, this is a day to celebrate and honor our moms. But Mother's Day can also be a heart-wrenching struggle for those who've lost a parent. Well, there's now a new and growing movement to reframe the occasion. Motherless Day began in Toronto and has spread across the country, offering sympathy and support. Melissa Ridgen reports on Winnipeg's inaugural event.
It's a club you don't want to be in, but billed as a pity party you'll actually want to attend. Motherless Day events are a growing movement started by Amanda Katz.
I still wanted to continue to commemorate my mom and even celebrate my mom on Mother's Day, but I didn't have a space to do it. So rather than sit around and wait for something to happen, I created this event called Motherless Day.
That vase can go on this other table, and then these vases will go on this table so that they match. Do you need anything?
I think I'm pretty good now.
Okay.
Katrina Zabrowski happened to be in Toronto for a bachelorette party.
They convinced me and pretty much walked me to the venue and was like, if it's not your space, we'll come pick you up, don't worry.
She lost her mom in a cycling accident in 2020 and found comfort in gathering with others who know such a loss.
And it's kind of just like a place to mingle and have laughter and levity on a day that can kind of be tough for us.
Now, paying it forward, she's hosting Motherless Day in Winnipeg.
So there's collaging that's going to be happening, so you can kind of make a collage. Everyone was encouraged to bring maybe a memory of their mom or a picture or a recipe. We're going to make little charm bracelets in memory of our moms. And then floral bouquet making is also happening.
Add cake, fancy cocktails, and you have yourself the perfect pity party. Jessie Margolis is one of the friends who encouraged Katrina to attend the event in Toronto 3 years ago.
Since then, she's really wanted to bring it here, and I'm just really proud that she did.
And full circle, Amanda Katz's grandma and aunt popped by to see her idea bloom in Winnipeg. The hope is to see it continue to grow for those who mark the day differently than those of us who can still celebrate with Mom. Melissa Ridgen, Global News, Winnipeg.
And happy Mother's Day. That is Global National for this Sunday night. I'm Jeff Semple. Tonight's Your Canada is the Matart Conservatory in Edmonton, one of many spots hosting Mother's Day events across the country this weekend. Thanks for watching. Donna will be back with you tomorrow. Have a great night and a happy Mother's Day.